The impetus for me was night 2 of the back-to-back nights of violence where even the second or third night, there's a curfew installed. Well, that didn't mean anything. The city attorney failed miserably. Beth McCann, the district attorney, failed miserably, in my opinion. No charges were filed. They just went poof. And I said, you know, between the homeless situation, the encampments, and the utter chaos that just went unchecked, we got to do a film.
So there are some people who've been able to do what I wanted to do, which was actually make a living in talk radio. I hate them all, including Steffan Tubbs from KNUS. Good to see you again.
Good to see you, John.
All right, let's just dive into it. Your project, Denver and Decay, it's getting more buzz. I think when I first heard about it, I was like, oh, yeah, that's one of those things you say on talk radio. Yeah, I'm going to make a movie. And
we prefer film. It sounds more artsy.
I'm going to make a moving picture, and 9 times out of 10, it kind of goes away at the end of your 3-hour show. It has arrived, Denver and Decay. Why did you make the movie, and why is it getting so much press?
I'll tell you, the amount of attention has really surprised my team. And I think it's great. We're getting comments from people literally around the world that are watching this, Coloradans or people that traveled to Colorado to, ski or whatever. They're like, is that really Denver today? And I think the success is based on some of the stuff that I thought, this is just not right. And I'm not from here. But I love it, and I've lived here most of my adult life. And so the impetus for me was night 2 of the back-to-back nights of violence where even the second or third night, there's a curfew installed. Well, that didn't mean anything. The city attorney failed miserably. Beth McCann, the district attorney, failed miserably, in my opinion. No charges were filed. They just went poof. And I said, between the homeless situation, the encampments, and the utter chaos that just went unchecked, we got to do a film. And the amazing part, and we were talking off air about this, we did this in 60 days from the idea of this could be a film to having it released and getting all the attention.
The beautiful part about film, not to knock talk radio, pictures sometimes tell better stories.
Agree.
And if you don't work in downtown Denver, and if you live in a nice suburb someplace, or you're out somewhere, you don't realize how much this city has turned to crap, and you don't see it. We at the Independence Institute, since we own a building downtown, we have to spend more and more of our time policing the building, securing the building, more of our donors' money to try to put in security systems, to hire people to keep it safe, cleaning up the vomit and the urine and the feces and the needles, and passing by on your way to go to lunch, literally stepping over people who were passed out on the sidewalk. Where's the failure? What would have stopped this?
First, the failure falls on, and I try to indicate this when I talk about the film, but you watch it and you think, well, it's all the Democrats' fault, and look at this politically slanted film. It's not my fault that we go back to 1983 when Federico Pena becomes mayor of Denver, and one of his posters for the campaign was "Imagine a great city." And you go Federico Pena to Wellington Webb to John Hickenlooper to current mayor Michael Hancock. I would have done this film, and people don't believe it, but that's the way it is. I would have done this if all of them had been Republican. But the failure, to me, that we focus on the most was John Hickenlooper's idea. They say they were following a federal mandate, but that's not how it was sold to Coloradans and Denverites. Denver's Road Home. Denver's Road Home is, to me, one of the biggest boondoggles and biggest failures, perhaps, in this city's history.
For people who don't know it, let me do a little background for it. So, in economics, we know a truth, which is what you subsidize, you get more of. What you tax, you get less of. When John Hickenlooper looked into the cameras and said, we're going to permanently end homelessness in 10 years in Denver. Well, that was 15 years ago now. And he started subsidizing it, and the budget for homeless programs skyrocketed. And what did it do? Well, it worked. We now have 100 times. So the funding went up, I think, 15 times of my research, if I remember it right. And now we have 100 times the problem.
It's crazy.
It is insane. And then when in an offhand comment when he said, well, nobody thought we were going to end homelessness.
That was to Colorado Public Radio in 2015 at the end of the 10-year plan. And we show that in a full slate in the film. And I didn't have the time to work with Colorado Public Radio to get the rights, but you see the quote. And the quote is, nobody really thought, to your point, nobody really thought this was going to end homelessness, right? But it was the following sentence that infuriated me and the feedback that we're getting. He said this was a marketing plan. And I ask everyone on my show, and I've said it repeatedly, is the Denver homeless problem better or worse in 2020 than it was in 2015 at the end of the illustrious road home? We all know the answer.
It's there's another mixture here, and I need to be careful how I put it. I'm not convinced this is just homelessness. I drive by, and they've cleaned up parts of it, which means it's moved along. A place where on Park Avenue, I saw 50, I counted them one day, 15 encampments. And I looked at them, and we have a lot of bums around here. By the way, I don't like using that term.
Oh, that's totally politically incorrect.
I know it's totally politically incorrect.
It's what we grew up talking about, right?
Well, no, here's the difference. I've had such sympathy for those people who are homeless. Now, the politically correct term, those currently experiencing homelessness.
Right.
But after you spend money, time, your own man hours, cleaning up vomit and feces and needles, you don't see these good people as human anymore. We see them as bums because it is a problem we have to mitigate because the police haven't done their job, the city hasn't done their job. So they come on our property, destroy it. I'm sorry, I've hit my limit. It's hard to say anything else but bums.
The fact that you say you've hit your limit is one of the reasons, John, we did this film. You made a comment a couple of moments ago about the suburbs. If you live in Cherry Hills Village, if you live in Castle Rock or Lakewood, maybe not necessarily Lakewood, it's really close, but you live in Littleton or you live up north in Fort Collins or whatever, you don't come downtown. Yeah, I hear it's bad, but how bad really is it? We did this film to document. There's one thing that I find very interesting since the film's release. We call out people, we call out mayor appointees that have made $1 million in salary and benefits in less than a decade. And you have all of these factors, but if you don't live and see it every day, or at least once a week, or maybe even once a month, it's easy to dismiss it. And that's why we wanted to do this film, to go, from the mountaintop, this is your down, as Denver goes, so goes the state is the saying. This is going on. We did not make any of this stuff up. They may say, the city and other leaders, the state, well, look at it now. Well, the beauty of film is you can capture things. And it's very interesting. I know you wrote a column on it, and we start talking about it from the idea to the finished product, 60 days, which is unheard of, but that's how dedicated I was. We capture when it was the way it was, and how long until it goes back to that?
I found it fascinating that driving by, and I noticed that about 1 out of every 4 tents I saw were the same make, model, and color. And they were all looked about the same age.
Some of them are brand new.
They were all brand new at first. And I was like, well, somebody is buying these en masse. I don't know if it's a city. I don't know if it's another organization. And then I started seeing a lot of Black Lives Matter signage on some of these things. And I started seeing more and more younger, healthy people. Most of the homeless we've encountered have been older, and you can tell they either have mental and or chemical addiction issues. And a lot of these folks didn't match that. One day I drive by and I see a U-Haul out there with a big grill, industrial-sized grill out, propane-powered, and they're feeding up food. I'm realizing, well, either there's a church doing this, or is it something more?
It's more. It's highly organized in spots. There was and we highlight this in the film, in Denver and Decay, Governor Polis is giving, I believe it was on July 24th 4th, and he has a press conference for 40 minutes. He talks about COVID. I was in the front row. He doesn't like when I ask questions that are out of left field, and I even said that. I said, I know you don't like when I go off topic, but 3 of the 4 sides of the governor's mansion right now are covered in tents, F the police, kill all cops. There's a sign-up sheet on what to do, where you go for this and that. These were not the homeless or the bums that you were alluding to earlier. This was a highly orchestrated organization. John, the next morning, those tents were gone. I don't know if it's coincidence or not, but this is the soundbite where the governor of Colorado says, we've been trying to get them to help us with, anybody is welcome to help us get these encampments off of state property. We've talked with the governor and the city council, we've talked to the mayor and the city council, but he kind of just trails off. But it shows you, I think, what a little sunlight will do to a problem.
It's amazing. I think the governor has a fair point that the Denver police will not get involved, and the Capitol is state property. The troopers there, state troopers, actually can't arrest.
Well, they're handcuffed.
They're handcuffed. However, the governor has the National Guard, which also has a full police department. They're called military police, MPs, and I believe there's something like 90 of them. And so he could, at any time, for state property, take care of that. And watching the destruction of our Capitol,
terrible.
It was wild seeing that nobody did anything about it. And so it's happening. And some folks that I work with said, let's go down there and start cleaning it up. And it was like, you realize it would be against the law for us to go clean it up.
100%.
It's again. So
you would be trespassing.
We would be trespassing. We'd be breaking the law, scrubbing it away, and you have to do it in a special way. But these vandals were doing it in the sight of the police, and the police didn't arrest them.
They didn't do a damn thing. It was disgusting. They didn't do a thing, John. They allowed more than $1 million of damage and destruction to the people's house. The governor did not, to my count, and if they want to prove me wrong, they're more than happy to try. 7-8 days at the end of May to early June, not one peep from Governor Jared Polis, a guy that I like. I've known for 15 plus years. Denver Mayor Hancock, I've known for 15 years. Our friendship is over because we're now being mean. We're showing things that aren't true. It's not true. And the one thing that you'll see at the end of the film is the credits take quite a while to roll of all the people that we asked to be a part of this film. And they either, whoops, we didn't get the email, we didn't get the communication, so it's our fault, or they simply declined.
Let me push on one thing. I can't help but feel that a lot of this was orchestrated. And I'm not talking about our bums or those currently experiencing homelessness. I'm talking about the people who set out to loot, to vandalize. All right, if it's organized, can you prove it? Is there a document trail, or is it just a suspicion you have?
I can't prove it. I mean, how many times, what you do for a living, how many times have you heard, this is all George Soros funded? Can somebody prove that? I can't. I don't try to tackle that because I can't prove that. But to your point, when you just look at logic, all these tents are brand new. They're serving out of a U-Haul truck. There's a big grill. These are the reasons why at least I've been curious. And I think we got to the bottom of some of it.
People want to see this film, and they should. How much are you going to charge them? Because I know this is a for-profit enterprise, and you are making a lot of coin off this.
I'm happy to tell you that, thanks to the stipend from the Independence Institute, this is absolutely free. The one goal that I had was we need to get as many eyes on this as possible. Tens and tens of thousands of views and shares. It could not have been possible without the crowdsourcing. We did a GoFundMe on this. And I think for people, if you donated $100 or more, if you chose to, you could have your name in the credits. And we had more than 800 individual donors and more than 225 at $100 or more to have their film there. I looked at it as almost signing a petition. The other thing, as part of my film company, Mountain Time Media, we always want to give back. And you and I have known each other forever. You know, I usually do military and veteran films.
You do a ton.
Yeah, I mean, I usually do that. This was really branching out for us to do something kind of in uncharted territory. But I wanted to still continue to give back. So we gave back 25% of every penny that we were getting to Step Denver, because I feel like they're doing it the right way. And the executive director, Paul Scudo, who is a friend, he's a terrific human being, but we wanted to at least give it to them to say, we know there's a problem and thank you for doing it right.
Where do people go?
YouTube.
That's it? YouTube.
It's Denver
It's
and Decay.
free. Denver
it
and
is
Decay.
free. I urge you, if you can, we're on Twitter. It's at Decay Denver. Boy, do we get trolled there. And you also can subscribe to our Mountain Time Media channel on YouTube. And again, we just want people to view it. I don't make a conclusion at the end. You see this, you see both sides. There are Democrats and Republicans, and you make your own decision.
I'm thrilled that you did this because it needed to be chronicled. More because it's a feeling, it's a visual, it's what people are dealing with, and it doesn't translate into a news article. It doesn't even really translate into a talk show or news program. This does. I really appreciate you doing it.
Thank you, my man. I appreciate your support.
If you enjoyed that conversation, by all means, click one of these other great programs. We have the best conversations with the most fascinating Coloradans. And subscribe to our channel. Just click down below and hit that little bell button too. You don't want to miss a single show.